Hello. How does the Torah balance the rights of the individual with the rights of the group? Let us examine this question. In an earlier portion, Pinchas, we read about the problem of the daughters of Zelophehad. Quote, the daughter of Zelophehad came forward saying, "Our father died and he had no sons. Why should our father's name be eliminated from his family because he had no son? Give us a portion of his inheritance along with our father's brothers." So Moses brought their case before the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "The daughters of Zelophehad speak justly. You shall certainly give them a portion of inheritance along with their father's brothers." Unquote. So, God gave the women their rights. But in this week's portion, Mizrahi, we read about an added provision. Quote, the heads of Zelophehad's tribe, Manasseh, said, "If the daughters of Zelophehad marry a member of another tribe, their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of that tribe, and so it will be diminished from our inheritance." Moses said, "The tribe of Manasseh speaks justly. This is the word that the Lord has commanded regarding Zelophehad's daughters. Let them marry whomever they please, but they shall marry only into the family of their father's tribe." So Zelophehad's daughters married their cousins from their own tribe of Manasseh. Unquote. So we see here how God balanced the right of the individual with the rights of the group. Yes, to giving the daughters their inheritance, individual rights, but no to them marrying outside their tribe. Group rights. A tribe has the right not to lose lands. Maimonides gives another example in Jewish law. Quote, if idol worshippers say to a group of women, "Give us one of you for immoral purposes, or we will violate all of you," they must all allow themselves to be violated rather than hand over one Jewish soul. Similarly, if idol worshippers say, "Give us one of you and we shall kill him, or else we will kill all of you," they must all allow themselves to be killed rather than hand over one Jewish soul. Unquote. This is irrational, of course. Refusing to hand over a random victim will not save that victim. Yet this passivity upholds a principle. But the law continues. If the attackers specify which person they want, we must deliver that person because they chose him. It is not for us to say who will live and who will die. So the group also gets their rights. This balances individual and group rights. In other cultures, for example the Greek culture, the group always takes precedence over the individual. Some say it is more logical. But Judaism saw farther by balancing the two, with more weight on the individual. By doing so, the individual may be spurred to do more for the community, knowing the community will not jettison him, and the community is better off in the long run. Judaism is replete with other examples. The Talmud emphasizes the individual. Quote, whoever destroys one life is considered as if he destroyed an entire world, and whoever saves one life is considered as if he had saved an entire world. So everyone must say, "The world was created for my sake." Unquote. No one has been sentenced to death by a Jewish court since the year 40 or so. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs writes about the book containing our portion. Quote, Numbers is a book about individuals. It begins with a census, whose purpose is less to tell us the actual number of Israelites than to lift their heads in the unusual locution the Torah uses to convey the idea that when God orders a census, it is to tell the people that they each count. Unquote. The Talmud explains this principle. Quote, our rabbis taught, if one sees a crowd, he says, "Blessed is he who discerns secrets," because the mind of each person is different from the mind of another person, just as the face of each person is different from the face of another person. Unquote. The implication is that each person is unique. Each person possesses a fraction of God's light. Rav Nachman of Breslov, the 18th century Hasidic sage, used to say, quote, Hayom bo noladta, hu hayom bo hechlit hakadosh baruch hu שהעולם אינו יכול לציץ קיים בלעדיך. The day that you were born is the day God decided the world could not be preserved without you. This inspirational quote clearly implies a relationship between the individual and the group. Each person possesses a unique potential to affect the group positively. Another example of the primacy of the individual is in our Torah portion, Masai, where the Torah discusses the cities of refuge, those places where people who killed accidentally can find shelter from the family of the victim. Maimonides summarizes, quote, "One who has been exiled does not leave the city of refuge at all, even to perform a mitzvah, or to give evidence in a monetary or even a capital case, or to save someone by his testimony, or to rescue someone from a non-Jew, or a river, or a fire, or a collapsed building. Even if all Israel needs his help, like Yoav ben Zeruiah, King David's chief of staff, he never leaves the city of refuge until the death of the high priest, because if he leaves, he makes himself vulnerable to death." Unquote. So, the bottom line is that no one is obligated to even risk his life to save another, even all of Israel. Rabbi Akiva makes this principle crystal clear in the Talmuds. Quote, "Suppose two people are traveling far from civilization, and only one has a pitcher of water. If both drink, they will both die. But if only one drinks, he can reach civilization. Ben Patura taught it is better that both should drink and die, rather than having one behold the death of his companion, until Rabbi Akiva came and taught, your life takes precedence over his life." Unquote. The Mishnah says that if the life of a pregnant woman is in danger, the fetus must be aborted. Quote, "If a woman is in life-threatening labor, one must cut up the child in her womb and bring it out limb by limb, because her life comes before the life of the child. But if the greater part of the child has come out, one may not touch it, for one may not sacrifice one person's life for another person's life." Unquote. Nevertheless, one must first try to save the mother by maiming the fetus rather than killing it, such as by amputating a limb. The Torah even asserts a person's right to have enjoyed life before dying. Quote, "Before going to war, the officer shall speak to the people, saying, if one of you has built a new house and has not yet dedicated it, let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicates it. And if one of you has planted a vineyard and he has not yet eaten of it, let him also go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man eats of it. And if one of you has betrothed a wife and has not yet married her, let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle and another man marries her." Unquote. The private goods overrides the public goods. However, if the war is a war of survival, everyone must go. There is the balance. Jews take great pride in their individuality. Jews do not automatically accept authority. Jews always display a showering of points of view. As they say, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And there is also the joke about 2 Jews on a desert island. They will build 3 synagogues, one for each to worship in, and one for each to say he would not be caught dead praying in. Some say this trait is a source of greatness. Even as a nation, the Jewish world is individualistic. The Torah says that we are, quote, "a nation that stands alone, not to be reckoned among the nations," unquote. The basic Jewish philosophy is that society exists for the sake of the individual, not the other way around. However, some point out that too many opinions, lots of political parties, generate the baseless hatred, sinat chinam, that caused the loss of the Third Temple. Now, let us consider the other side of the coin. The group must count also. Individualism can lead to chaos. The book of Judges ends with, quote, "In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes," unquote. So there is a need for groups. the family, the extended family, the clan, the community, the tribe, the state, etc. There is occasional rejection of the rights of the individual to ensure the survival of the community. For example, Jewish law lends sanction to smothering a child so his crying doesn't reveal the presence of a group pursued by murderers. This happened during the Holocaust with the Nazis, and in Israel with Palestinian Arab terrorists. When Joshua entered the land of Israel, he laid down 10 stipulations restricting individual rights for the sake of community rights. For example, the community has the right to benefit from a new water source, even if discovered on private lands. The community has the right to fish in Lake Kinneret, as long as it does not interfere with navigation. The community has the right of pasture in private land that is unfarmed. The community has the right of free passage on private lands, including relieving oneself. And everyone has the right to be buried where he dies, even if on private lands. The Talmud says that the city of Jerusalem is not allotted to any tribe, but belongs to all Israel. So important things must not be individually owned. In the liturgy, both the individual and the group are stressed. For example, the Shema mentions the group first. Quote, "Hear, O Israel," plural, "the Lord our God, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." Unquote. Then the individual, quote, "And you, singular, shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and these words shall be in your heart," singular, "and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." Unquote. The group must also always be kept in mind when asserting one's individuality, because the Talmud says, quote, "Kol Yisrael Aravim ze bazeh." All Jews are responsible for one another. In conclusion, we see that in Jewish law, the individual generally takes priority over the community. The same is true in United States civil law. Others say that the rights of the many outweigh the rights of the one when they come into conflict. In totalitarianism, only the state counts. The individual is just a cog. Clearly, individual rights must be limited when they infringe on the rights of others. It's a matter of balance. Judaism achieved that balance, but puts more of the weight on individual rights. Shabbat Shalom.